सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। We are in the third section of the first chapter, first valli, third valli of the first adhyaya. In this particular segment, we had just started with the example of a ratha, and just like the ratha has several components, this is in the third mantra of the third segment of the first chapter. Atmanam rathinam viddhi shariram rathamevatu buddhim tu saratim viddhi manah pragrahamevacha. Atmanam rathinam viddhi. The one for whom the chariot is being driven is the jiva. Shariram rathamevatu, and the sharira is the ratha. Buddhim tu sarathim viddhi. Understand the buddhi to be the charioteer, the sarathi. Manaha pragraham evacha. Mind is the reins which connect the chariot and the horses, and these reins are in the hands of the charioteer. Indriyani hayanahuhu vishayansteshu gocharan. The indriyas are like the horses, and the vishaya vastu, they are like the field of experience to which these horses run. Atmendriya mano yuktam bhokta iti ahur manishinaha. Thus, this whole combination of the ratha, the charioteer, the reins, horses, and the one sitting, the jiva, all of this put together is called bhokta, the one that goes out into the field of vishaya vastu and enjoys or suffers the consequences of it. Therefore, he is called the bhokta, the one who is running after to enjoy the field of experience, the field of objects. Now, in this, we have, if the example now is remembered, we have done till the fifth mantra. The fifth mantra says, Yaha tu avijnanavan bhavati ayuktena manasa sada Tasya indriyani avashyani dushta ashva iva sarathehe. If the organs of perception and action are not in the control of the mind, then it is like the horses which have been yoked to the chariot, which have not been broken in. If the horses are not trained horses, the wild horses have immense raw energy and they run wild. If they are brought in and tied down, oh, that will be one experience to remember with. The five. But the five have to be trained. Not just training one organ of perception, but all five have to be in control, in balanced control. When I say control, it is not like squeezing the air out of it. Control is to have the balance. Without that balance, when these horses are yoked, dushta ashva iva sarathehe, they go haywire. Therefore, what should be done? That is said in the next mantra, which is what we have to focus upon. The sixth mantra, page 158. Chant after me. Yastu vijnanavan bhavati yuktena manasa sada yastvendriyani vashyani sadashva iva sarathe. Yaha tu vijnanavan bhavati, the one who has the right intelligence, the intellect is being constantly given the right feed. Because if the intellect has wrong ideas being given, the rest of the processes will go haywire. Just like in the calculator, when you type in 2 plus 2, it automatically gives 4 as the answer. Because the coding that has been done gives that pre-information put in, that 2 plus 2 should be 4. If supposing the coding itself was wrong, it will give all funny answers. Similarly, the intellect has to be well informed, it has to be nourished well, it has to be also taken care of. So, yastu vijnanavan bhavati, the one who has a sattvic intellect with dharmic attitude, and this sattvic dharmic intellect, which has been given all the criterias of values of life, and the intellect has strived enough to transform these values into virtues. That means they have applied it and it has become like an integral part of their being. With such intellect, yuktena manasa sada, the mind is well balanced and controlled because the buddhi is well informed. And with that mind which is under control, tasya indriyani vashyani, the indriyas have to be in control, in discipline. That indriya which has the natural tendency to run out into the world. It is not the fault of the intellect, fault of the indriyas. The organs of perception are made in such a way that they go out into the world and receive the information. Just like, people, they say, oh, internet is so bad. It depends on what you use it for. When you say gadgets and new technology is bad, it is neither bad nor good. It is how you use it. Similarly, the indriyas are bad. The indriyas are not bad. They are doing flawlessly their job. They've been designed to go out. Indriyani paranyahu. Indriyas are meant, not indriyani paranyahu. The entire field of perception is designed to run out into the world. Do they do their job? Do the eyes see, do the ears hear, do the nose smell, the tongue tastes, and the skin has the touch? Then it is functioning perfectly. Where is it being entertained for? Who decides that? It is the buddhi that decides. The manaha, the mind, follows along, and thereby the indriyas are under control. Without the buddhi and mind in place, in our field of experience, in our day to day, if we create a resistance at the level of indriyas, I mean, we can see it personally, but you can see it more vividly in the children. If they have been given an instruction not to indulge in certain things, TV or cell phone or whatever, right? But they have not been informed, they have not been told properly. But with the children, what happens? Even if you are telling, do you think they will listen? They will find the easiest method, that if you are not paying attention, they are certainly not paying attention. Right? The frustration of the parent is, when will they listen? When will they mature? When will they take the responsibility? You are trying to be their intellect. Their intellect has not been invoked. Similarly for us, if the intellect is not properly invoked, it goes in its own direction. Mind has its own likes and dislikes. It goes in its own direction. And the organs have their own fields. So each one going in its own different directions, it will only lead to further chaos. And the rupture is at all three levels. Therefore, whenever we say the Shanti mantra, at the end, our prayer is that may this prayer be blessing us, so that at all three levels, Shanti, 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 at all three levels, may I not have the tapa, the friction. That they have to be used in one direction, they go in different direction. So the buddhi has to be invoked into the proper value system. The mind has to now start functioning beyond its likes and dislikes, and thereby the organs of perception are trained well to be in their own particular field, that too, that which is only required. That is called sadashva. Sadashva, good horses, just like the good yoked horses. Now, there are, in the field of psychology, they say, you cannot have too much of restraint. It will have an impact on your psychological impacts are high. Therefore, even if you are trying to control, say, your tongue, there is a word that they use. There is a cheat day. You have to eat food and you are being controlling yourself, and one day, it's okay. Indulgence. Moment you give that cheat day, Are you cheating the system or the system is cheating you? Before you realize it is gone. Many people you ask, food and exercise, it only runs for certain days. And once you give a break, to get it back on track becomes almost like an impossibility. Then something serious has to happen, thereby you take it into control. Suddenly blood pressure goes up, your blood report says your triglycerides are high, LDL is high, and you may have to have the other tests to be done if the heart is functioning properly. And suddenly, if the medicine, doctor, operation, all this comes into picture, and the doctor gives an option, it is serious, but it is not that serious. You can start controlling it by your food, your lifestyle choices. Kya baat hai? Your lifestyle choices, food and your exercise habits. Then the seriousness comes. Completely indisciplined, we cannot move forward. So the indriyas have to be controlled. The mind has to listen to the buddhi. Then the chariot will function in the proper appropriate directions when required. As long as required, it can keep functioning in those particular fields. Now the technology or the technique with which Yamadharma Raja is talking this is, he is giving the contrast immediately so that we can understand it from its, what if you do, what if you don't. Both are being given simultaneously. So he says in the next one, 7th mantra, Yastva Vijnanavan Bhavati Amanaskas Sada Shuchihi न स तत्पदमाप्नोति संसारं चाधिगच्छति. यस्तु अविज्ञानवान भवति अमनस्कः सदा अशुचिः न सह तत्पदम आपनोति samsaram cha adhigacchati. If the intellect is not properly nourished, if the mind has not been worked at, fine-tuned to work beyond its likes and dislikes, and it is ashuchihi, constant turbulences, constant agitations. Now, if the mind is agitated, can you even enjoy life? Even in Vyavahara, in samsaric way, can you enjoy that life if the mind is agitated? Sada ashuchihi. What happens to such one? Na saha tat padam apnoti. Such individual cannot attain to the highest in life. What happens to that individual? Samsaram cha adhigacchati. They will go into, firmly get established into samsara. What does samsara mean? See, that word has multiple meanings. One meaning is samyak sarati. Constantly it is moving. One of the names of the river is Sarita. Sarati iti Sarita. That which constantly moves. There is no stagnation. It constantly moves. Samyak Sarati. Samyak sarati, constantly moving, there is no stability. Without a stable platform, it is like, I don't know how, I have not gone into the uh, public transport buses these days. When I used to, the conductor's job was the most observable job. He has to be the one that has to be standing all day long, moving up and down the bus. He used to have a jhola in which he would keep all the money and cash and the small change. Tickets would be in his hand, and then every so often, just to maintain the tabs, he has to write in that small sheet of paper. And while doing so, it is not that the bus is going to stop. It is not that the bus or the driver has a choice of the road. And we know how the roads are. That road where the ministers constantly travel are the ones that are elegantly maintained. The rest of the roads for the Aam Janta, if it is a patchwork done, one rain, the entire road becomes. It is not just that one city called Guntur. Every village, every city can be called Guntalur. Gunta means holes, potholes. Hare Rama. And this fellow has to stand, and while the bus is moving, jerking around, this fellow has to write. He has to scribble. And we used to think as school going children, sitting on a stable table, writing, our handwriting after one page goes completely haywire. From an elegant, beautiful handwriting to a doctor's handwriting. There are too many doctors here. It becomes difficult even with a stable. How can that fellow write? The doctors are wrongly mentioned for bad handwriting. It is the conductor. It is no stability. The unstable environment is called sarati. Samyak sarati, from all possible directions, every single layer is constantly destabilizing. Continuously destabilized. And trying to do anything meaningful with a destabilized system is almost impossibility. So this is one meaning of samsara. The second meaning of samsara is, why is it that this jiva has the innate necessity to run out into the world and experience all possible things, indulge in them? Samyak saram yachati yahasaha. The one who is searching for some kind of essence, sara. How is the life? Nissara. Nissara, there is nothing to greatly enjoy about. Therefore, where is that sara? Wherever the organs of perception think that it is beautiful in this jagat, it runs into it. When you say jagat, our Swami Akhandanand Ji Maharaj used to say, जगत वो चीज है जो जग 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 चमके, and the Indriyas are running after it. That is why it is called Jagat. Wherever the Indriyas take, this fellow is dragged into it. Now, accordingly, if the mind is also complying, probably that fellow would have certain amount of joy to enjoy. The Indriya now, the Mana has its own quirky kind of standpoints. It has its own specificity of likes and dislikes. Not that it has to be, if that material is available, that material has to be in this kind of condition, in this kind of a phase. It has its own. There are people that do not eat certain foods. पता है लोग केले नहीं खाते. Why? The texture. भिंडी नहीं खाते. Why? That slimy texture. There are some which we don't eat because of the smell. Have you ever come across somebody who hates mangoes? I have. Why? The smell. They don't like it. It's only after I went to the other countries that I understood. There is a cousin of dhania. It is called cilantro. No, dhania is called cilantro. The other one is called parsley. Those who like parsley will hate cilantro. Those who like cilantro will hate parsley. Genetically, for those who like cilantro, their taste buds, they react to parsley as a soapy taste. Those who like parsley have the similar thing with cilantro. It appears very soapy. Likes and dislikes. In everything that we do or don't, it is guided only by like and dislike. Not if it is necessary or unnecessary. Purely only on the basis of like and dislike. The Indriyas have their own fields. The mind has its own likes and dislikes. What are they trying to do? Inside, they do not feel that contentment. That fullness is not experienced. Though the very nature of that individual, by essence, by Sara, is of fulfillment, and yet not connected to its own source. See, when we were young, maybe you have the experience now too, we lose those initial teeth. क्या बोलते हैं उसको? Milk teeth. हाँ, we lose those initial teeth. When that one tooth falls, until it starts growing, what is the tongue busy with? Constantly into that place where it is not. Whenever there is a lacuna, whenever there is a lack inside, the mind is constantly pecking onto it. Ayyo le de. Are ye nahi hai, nahi hai, nahi hai, nahi hai. Constantly it keeps, that fulfillment is not there. So it goes out into the world to find that fulfillment. Whatever fits in. The funny thing is that whatever you bring is not a long lasting satisfaction and contentment. It, it comes and it goes. It is not a permanent state. As it comes, even before we experience it, we are already fearful that it will be gone. Therefore, the mind is constantly busy trying to reach out for the next thing in line. As you are trying to fill this, sometimes when we have Shivaratri and other festivities, so we try to make few packets of prasada to be distributed. However much we think is sufficient, it ends to become that they are insufficient. So all night long the volunteers sit to keep filling those packets. One filled, think it done? No. Those little pouches with the ziplock to it. So you take one more fill, one more fill. It is a monotonous job. Mind also feels that constantly it is running. It gets vexed with that running, tired with that running. With that tiredness, it sleeps. Once it wakes up, again, that lack is eating away. That absence, that fulfillment, the absence of that fulfillment, therefore it runs into the field. So constantly the mind through the organs of perception and action trying to find something that it will fulfill. And nothing is permanent. Somebody said the best dana that you can do is annadana. Why? Human mind never says no to anything to be received. You give any other thing, it will keep asking for more. Annadana, there is a point where they reach, up bus. इसके बाद नहीं. But sadly, every 2-3 hours, प्रातः प्रातः ब्रेकफास्ट समर्पयामि, तदनन्तरं चायं समर्पयामि, मध्ये मध्ये जलं पानीयं समर्पयामि. If not something else, chewing gum. Must have been the earlier birth's habit. Like the buffaloes and cow, they chew the cud. वही आदत. And again, lunch samarpayami, snack samarpayami, chai samarpayami, dinner samarpayami. While this is happening, madhya madhye, kutrum kutrum, chip samarpayami, that samarpayami, this samarpayami. There is never a contentment. Just as the food is for the tongue or the stomach, similarly the food for the other organs never seems to fulfill. There is no sara. To that pathetic life of constant disillusionment of not finding fulfillment at all, this person is permanently running into that field of experience. Samsaram cha adhigacchati. Who goes to that samsara? Yaha tu avijnanavan bhavati. The intellect has wrong criteria. There are notions. And these notions are very funny. When seen in others, our own notions, how deeply they are rooted, we don't evaluate that. There is a Telugu saying, Jihva ko ruchi, burra ko verri. Every tongue has a different taste. Every intellect has different notions. ये ऐसे ही होना मांगता. This has to be like this only. When you have coffee and tea, usually there are people who like it hot. There are some who like it piping hot, straight from the stove into their mouth. Have you seen such people? Guruji used to be like that. Piping hot. Straight from, even if it is a little less hot. Then And there are the other extreme, those who would like to have it lukewarm. Water in summer times, the first है थोड़ा ठंडा पानी मिलेगा, इससे और ठंडा है क्या? Different notions that we develop, and if it is not in that notion, it is restless. These are just habitual notions that I just said. There are various notions. People have to be like this only. I mean, there are so many varieties. Who are we to demand anything from anyone? As long as the totality is not disturbed too much. ठीक है. Everybody has their own notions. If the intellect has these wrong notions, wrong feed that has gone into it, wrong convictions are developed. When the wrong convictions are there, the mind accordingly will go into those wrong directions. Even though as an experience there is constantly sorrow, pain, misery, agitations, and yet if the convictions are not changed, that life is a miserable life. If you talk to a psychiatrist, the psychiatrist would say, everybody is a psychiatrist case. Because these convictions are the ones. Avijnanavan. Amanaskaha sada ashuchihi. And the mind is constantly in an agitated format. There is no peace. Somebody said very beautifully, the body smiles through the lips, but the soul smiles through the eyes. If there is constant agitated mind, those eyes look so tired, weakened, restless. See, if there is a good acquaintance with people, your own family, your own friends, as soon as you look, what are you looking at straight? Their eyes. Because it reveals a volume of information. If the eyes are restless, if the eyes are weak, if the eyes have no tejas in it, mind is equally lost. Ashuchihi. Such a person may do a lot of things in the name of sadhana. None of these corrected. There have been people who have been devoted to a certain deity. They have done severe tapas. They have also given lots of sacrifices. They have had the darshan of Bhagavan. And yet, if these are not in control, if they are not in discipline, the Puranas call them as Rakshasa and Asura. Who is the greatest devotee of Bhagavan Shiva? Ravana. To his credit, there are ragas that he has invented. Amazing musician. To please Bhagavan Shiva with the music, he did not have the instruments, so he tore open his stomach, took out the inner guts, the intestines, and played veena. ये भयंकर आदमी है. And yet he was not pleased. He started giving one head per chant as an offering into the oblation fire. He had 10 to spare. And he had Bhagavan's darshan. He was agitated, his entire kingdom was agitated. Did he not have Bhagwan's darshan? What was the flaw? He was a great Vedic scholar. He was a great musician. He was a great bhakta. He was great in so many things. And yet, if the intellect, mind, and the organs are not in tune, still would be called as Rakshasa only. What is the reverse of Rakshasa? Sakshara. Educate the mind, educate the intellect. And that effort has to be consistently done. The key in sadhana is consistency. That little sadhana, what you are doing, do it consistently. It is not the talent or skill, it is the consistency that pays rewards. Even if it is a small one, but it has to be done. Otherwise, imagine we are endowed, we are blessed with the very source of all this satisfaction, fulfillment, happiness, contentment, right here as my very essence. It is not that I have to go out there and put an effort to find it. It is already there. And yet, we do not find time, we do not find the right effort to reach to our own source, that which we are seeking. And see, if there is a source and I don't want it, then there is no problem. That is exactly what I want and I am searching for it all across. Therefore, out of genuine compassion, what does Adi Shankaracharya ji call them in Bhaja Govindam? Moodha mate. Very strong word used. I mean, in any other work that you see, I have not seen him calling a jiva with this kind of a strong word. Shruti has said many times, but Adi Shankaracharya ji very carefully does not antagonize any seeker. Even when he is strong opponent of a certain logic or certain thought pattern, he would say Kechit. Some people have this kind of thing. He would not mention, he would not name, he would not. He said it is the Siddhanta that has to be repaired, not censuring the person. Such sattvic attitude. Even he is compelled to call out. And he says, Moodha mate. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Moodha mate. Moodha mate, why? But that which you are seeking, that which you are so eager to find, is right here verily as your own source. And yet, we neglect it and run for the same thing out there where it cannot provide it. Na sat tat padam apnoti. That person will never find happiness, contentment in life. Maybe some trivial, transitory joy, that also that fellow will not be able to enjoy. Why? The mind is ashuchi, is not available, is not fine-tuned. So this samsara is called samsara chakra. Chakra punaravartina. It keeps going again and again in the same kind of loop. How long will we repeat the same loop? Whether you take it at a microscopic level or at a zoomed out macroscopic level, we are stuck in a loop. At the indriyas, in the bhoga, in that particular anubhava, we are stuck in that loop. Same things have to be repeated, knowing that it is not going to give permanency of joy or happiness. Zoom out, the entire life is lived. Born, study forcefully, that too. Nobody, no child wants to focus on that. Balastavat, krida saktaha. Tarunastavat, taruni saktaha. Impress the other. Vruddhastavat, ayyo, I wasted my time. Chinta saktaha. It's too late by then. Seeing this, he says, one foot is already hanging in the graveyard. And at that time, when you are in pursuit of meaningless things, what good is this life? Manaschenna lagnam gurorangri padme tatah kim tatah kim tatah kim tatah kim. What use is all of these? Five organs, one mind, one buddhi. If you are running a office and there are say about 20 people in work under you, even if one fellow does not listen, how frustrated we become, right? Even though you have logically presented, your boss doesn't listen to you, how frustrated will we become? The entire experience of that 8 hours is constantly miserable. When outside itself something doesn't go in line, you get frustrated. Inside there are only 8 components and each one of them in its own angle. How frustrated will that individual be? How lackluster, completely drained of all energies. And again we pump in the energy is again drained. There is no sealant. Discipline is that sealant. Consistency with the sadhana is what takes you to progress. But this person is neither here nor there. Trishanku Swarga. In Hindi, that same thing has more power to it. Dhobika na idhar na udhar. Samsaram cha adhigachati. But when the system is tuned, what happens? Yastu vijnanavan bhavati samanaska sada shuchihi satu tatpadamapnoti yasmat bhuyo na jayate यह तू विज्ञानवान भवति समनस्कः सदा शुचिः सह तू तत्पदम आपनोति यस्मात् भूयः न जायते. So what is the sadhana? Sadhana is very, very straightforward. Last Sunday, after the chick class, one of the chicks, he was like, Swamiji, all this, different sadhanas and different methods, they are so complicated. Can you tell me one straight path of sadhana? I said, Baba, sadhana is straightforward. The mind which is asking, that is as straightforward as a jalebi. The problem is not with the sadhana. The problem is the mind. It creates the problem. Now, for the one, what should we do? The organs of perception action. They have to have a certain amount of discipline. Not saying that it should not be engaged in its field. It can be. But with the detached disposition of not having any anticipation through its experiences to find permanency. Gurudev's famous statement, the world can be enjoyed provided you understand that that enjoyment is not permanent. It is our own anticipation for its continuance which agitates our mind. So, what should be the attitude at the Indriya level? आया है आने दो, आगते स्वागतम कुर्यात, निर्गते न निवारयेत. It will go away also. Don't lament on it. For that which is coming, we have resistance because it is new. Once the mind settles into that pattern, then it has the problem to let go. But the nature's movement is nothing stays permanent, it goes. Understand the impermanency and discipline that particular mind wherein the filters are strong. That which does not have to be entertained inside, that which should not come inside, filter it out outside itself. Suddenly, as you are walking down the ramp, there is a strong wind and a gust of dust is approaching. What do you do? Do we close our nostrils? So strong is that habit that even when you are sitting in a car which has the internal air circulated and there is a gust of wind that comes with lot of dust, inside that car, seeing the dust coming, as though by reflexes, what do? You want to filter it out. Similarly with everything, that which is not necessary, that which agitates you, put it out. Knowing that that particular kind of food will have an agitated reaction inside later, but yet for that 2 seconds on the 3-inch, the tongue, and then later suffer all night through. Why? It is called heartburn. Acidity is called heartburn. Sometimes I wonder who named such a beautiful name. You know that your heart will burn and yet cannot resist. इसी को कहते हैं आ बैल मुझे मार. Inviting troubles unnecessarily. That which you hear is going to agitate you, but then there is a FOMO, fear of missing out. नहीं क्या हुआ बताना. नहीं let it be. No, I want to know. Organs, each organ, sit down, list out that which it craves for. Regulate it. Balance it. The mind, it functions purely in the realm of likes and dislikes. Reorient that mind that likes and dislikes are not important. The kartavya is important. The responsibility is important. Therefore, the mind has to stay beyond its likes and dislikes to fulfill what is to be fulfilled. Regimented training. If you ever go to the military base where there is training of the soldiers, it's a rigorous training. Why is that rigorous training required? Each one of them is coming from different backgrounds, different likes and dislikes. All those likes and dislikes have to be broken up. I feel sometimes when I went to Singapore, I was told that every citizen, as soon as they cross 18, now when you go to these countries, you say, how beautiful, everything is so disciplined. Because they have taken that effort to discipline. Every citizen has to do 2-year training. No, 6-year training, 2-year deployment. And then they are on their reserves. Why? Population is less. So every citizen is a trained unit. And it reflects in their day-to-day life. You would see those habits which are ingrained because the likes and dislikes have been broken. It has gotten into their system now. And how long is the training? 6 months. In 6 months we can change. But yet in the name of sadhana, years after years after years, and we have not broken our own likes and dislikes. Constantly sit with your intellect, educating it again and again, the finer points of self-evaluation and self-development. Introspect daily. Not a day goes by without that introspection. According to Bhagavad Gita, according to the Upanishads, these are the value systems. This has been my application in my day-to-day. How close am I to that which has been educated, that which is pointed, and how far away I am? Why am I that far away? Introspect, constantly fine-tune it. There is no other way. And the best way to do that educative process, Swadhyaya, has 2 meanings. Is studying the scriptures, and then self-evaluation is also called Swadhyaya. You have to study yourself. Not study for yourself, that is first step. Second is to study yourself. And the best method is to sit and maintain a diary. Don't write out, aap beeti kahani. Most study groups become that. They constantly sharing their experiences. This is not a self-help group. So when you sit down with the diary, be honest. These are the value systems. How close have I been? How reactive have I been? How balanced have I been? How rajasic, tamasic, sattvic have I been? Constantly evaluate, educate. Without that inner evaluation, an individual cannot grow. The outside teacher and Shastra can only point. The upliftment can happen only when I am committed to uplift myself. The pointers will not. Just like on the road there are pointers how far you are from the destination, that pointer is not going to take you there. It will only point. Now you have to be the intelligent one to drive up to that destination. Similarly, this self-evaluation helps. And when this consistency is maintained, supported by regularity of puja, japa, dhyana, swadhyaya of the scriptures, then that individual has the greater opportunity or possibility of reaching to the highest, not otherwise. Padamapnoti yasmat bhuyaha na jayate. Having reached to that highest, it is certain that you will be plucked away from this transitory, constant, cyclic motion, that you will not come back into this ever again. And that is a surety given, provided I fine tune myself and grow towards it. That commitment has to be there for the self, by the self. That is when growth is promised. There are two more standpoints taken, and a very uniquely different mantra comes, that we will see tomorrow. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.